able to sell so that they can fund their operations without having to liquidate that early Bitcoin. And they pay you back in Bitcoin with an additional 3%, 4% type of return. Accurate?
Yeah. So I guess I'll abstract that a little bit and say, um, we just have some unique benefits of being a life insurance company, our regulatory positioning, our tax positioning, and just our long-term focus, right? So I think we've been very fortunate that many counterparties have come to us and said, like, I have these problems, I have these needs, and I want a counterparty that can be on the other side for a year, for 5 years, for 10 years, right? And, there's so many people in crypto that I, have deep, deep respect for, whether those are market makers or hedge funds or, trading desks or protocols or whatever. But most of the system is very focused on like today and liquidity. And we have the great fortune to be all about duration and all about thinking for the long term. And we're fortunate our policyholders trust us for the long term. And then that's the role we can play in the economy. So one of the roles we play is, yes, there are folks who have low basis Bitcoin. It's not just miners. It could be individuals.
Okay.
It could be family offices. It could be institutions. It could be DATs, depending on when they started, right? Most DATs are underwater, but, some aren't, right? So there's this quirk in the tax code, right? Which is that Bitcoin is property.
Mhm.
What that means is if you want to do something productive with Bitcoin, it's probably taxable, right? You want to take Bitcoin and you want to pivot into MicroStrategy. You want to take Bitcoin, you want to make an in-kind LP contribution to a hedge fund. You want to take Bitcoin, you want to put it on Pendle, the term lending platform. If you have a conservative tax position, all those things are taxable, right? Because you can't in-kind your way out of capital gains tax. Otherwise, we'd all be bartering everything all the time because that would be a way to avoid taxes, right? So we are able to provide a service to folks where they put their Bitcoin in a segregated like wallet as collateral, and then we lend them fresh, current tax basis Bitcoin, and we charge 3% for that. It's great for both sides because it's like credit risk free, right? So you send me 100 Bitcoin, I put it in a wallet that you can see. I take away 3, so now you have 97 there, and I send you back 97 different Bitcoin that you can do with what you want. So these Bitcoin for Bitcoin loans, we do them for all sorts of people. And again, we find that, it might not, there is some novelty here. Like we have a tax opinion from a fancy law firm and like there's a lot of structuring to make this all kosher. But at the end of the day, I think our counterparties trust us to do this, over a OTC desk or whatever, because when we say, hey, we can be on the other side of this for a year or 5 years, they believe us. So yeah, the bulk of our lending is this like Bitcoin for Bitcoin lending. And, we're not trying to get 7% returns or 17% returns, or like people try to do a lot of crazy stuff in Bitcoin. We're trying to get like steady 3.5% returns and passing that on to our users like year over year over year to meet our obligations.
Love that. Yeah, I think that that's a very conservative and easy model to continue to perpetuate over time, right? It's nothing.
Yeah, we also find that Bitcoiners, the only thing they love more than Bitcoin and self sovereignty is, they really hate taxes. So our life insurance policy tends to be very attractive, and our parity loan policy tends to be very attractive. Although for the government listening, these are all careful tax. This is about tax. What's the word? Tax optimization. And also, I'm not your tax advisor.
Well, I'll put the disclaimer in here for us. If you
Yeah, no, it's fine.
get any, financial, tax, or legal advice, always seek out a professional that's
Yeah.
licensed in credentials to be able to provide that for you. Everything said here is for entertainment and educational purposes only.
Yeah.
Um, well, as we wrap up here, I mean, you've accomplished a lot. There's a lot of awesome things that you guys have already put together. What are you most excited about here at 2026? Like, is there something on the roadmap that you can share with people, or just continue to be a boring, really cool life insurance product for Bitcoin?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest like obvious thing we're working on is we're expanding internationally, and there's just a lot of like underwriting, and there's a lot of jurisdictional conversations with this insurance authority or that insurance authority. But that's going well. We hire the global head of distribution and marketing from Sun Life International, which you could think of as like the preeminent offshore fiat uh, life insurer. So we're dealing with some of the best brokers and family offices and private banks all over the world. So if folks are listening and they're not an American, they live in basically anywhere that isn't a blacklisted country. So you live anywhere but Russia and Iran and North Korea. We're beginning to serve those people, and have a product designed for them. So I'd say that's like the real push in 2026. Um, I'd say when we look out a little bit further in the year, starting to think about deferred annuities, which is like another tax structure. Um, and also, our users really like our boring, conservative, long term perspective. And I think we're thinking about ways to support them on that. Maybe the big one would be we've begun conversations about maybe starting our own trust company in Bermuda, which again is like a really respected offshore jurisdiction, because I think trusts and life insurance policies of this type like often like really just go together.
Mhm.
Um, but that isn't this quarter thing that if we get that going, it'd be the end of the year. But those are the sorts of things we think about. Uh, not really. I joke sometimes. We're running, as I said, we're running a life insurance policy we're running a life insurance company like from the 1830s. We're just doing it in Bitcoin, and that's how we think. So we're very deliberate about making like simple, straightforward products. They're comprehensible by folks, and then just doing it with the world's greatest store of value.
Love that. Well, if you want to learn more, I'm sure we'll have the links in the show notes below, but anywhere they can reach out specific that you'd want people to be able to find.
Yeah, so you can go to meanwhile.bm. BM's the Bermuda top level domain. And I guess what I'd say to people is, you know, if you start the sign up flow, you're not agreeing to send us Bitcoin or signing a legal contract. And every single person who begins that flow, they enter their username, they enter their email, their password, they give us some demographic information. Um, a human being from our side will reach out to you. This is a big decision. We have people who send us tens, hundreds of Bitcoin, like tons of value. It is a big decision. It is not a decision that gets made, um, just over, I don't know, over a web form. So you begin the sign up process. Me or Jason or another guy on our team, Danny, like we reach out. Often people have questions about the trust, they already have a trust, or, they have this stuff onshore, or this stuff offshore, or like, what are the tax benefits? Or can you talk to my accountant? Blah, 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 blah. So we do all that stuff. And, you should think of it as a pretty uh, one-on-one experience, and you can get to know us. So that's what I'd say is, if you have any interest in the product, you want to learn more, like I'd sign up on the website and someone from our team will reach out to you.
Love that. Well, thank you again for taking the time and explaining everything for our audience, and wish you the best of luck here in 2026 with the international expansion.
Thanks so much, and wish you luck on all your endeavors and podcast for the new year too.
Love it. And you guys, that's it. We'll see you on the next one.